present, the whole family.
There was a sense of dismay here at the rebellious behaviour of Conservative MPs at Westminster trying to undermine their Prime Minister.
My party, which I call it my party, and I've been in it since 45, dismay me with their complete lack of loyalty now. It's gone beyond the point of any common sense at all.
I think it's pretty disgraceful, the way they're behaving. They're not backing him up in anything. They're only thinking of themselves.
The Prime Minister's aim today was to reassert his leadership in the face of continued disquiet in his party, the message that whatever his current unpopularity, he's determined to carry on. Glyn Mathias, ITN, Huntington.
The Red Cross has decided to evacuate thousands of Muslim and Croat civilians from a Serb stronghold in Bosnia after reports of a new atrocity. 17 Muslims and 2 Croats are reported to have been killed in Prijedor. The United Nations says militant Serbs are to blame. James Bays at ITN reports.
A Muslim charity says about 19 people, both Muslims and Croats, have been killed in the North Bosnian town in the last 2 days. Others have been beaten and tortured. It says Serb militants are responsible for the attacks in Prijedor, a town which has a population of 55,000 Serbs, 6,000 Muslims and 3,000 Croats. Police in the town say only 7 people were killed in the course of robberies, but the UN believes Serb extremists may be responsible for the deaths of many more people.
We know that 2 people burned alive in their home. Another couple was killed by a hand grenade thrown into their home. Other people were robbed and shot dead by the attackers.
The International Red Cross says it had no choice but to order the evacuation.
If we remain passive, we can also be accused of simply standing by and letting these people die. And the situation is now so serious that we are really left with no choice. We have a moral obligation to save their lives.
Many evacuations have been arranged in the past in Bosnia, but if all the 9,000 people at risk in Prijedor agree to leave their homes, this will be one of the biggest.
Here there's to be an official review of fairground safety after the death of a 9-year-old boy on a water shoot ride in South Wales yesterday. Experts from the Health and Safety Executive today began examining the remains of the collapsed lighting gantry, which is thought to have caused the accident.
The investigators want to know why a metal hoop collapsed on the ride, blocking the path of the roller coaster car as it sped towards the water. 9-year-old Timothy Morgan was hurled 60 feet into the air. His father Christopher is in intensive care. Brother David has shoulder injuries. There were flowers today at the scene of the accident. A family friend paid tribute to Timothy.
He's football crazy like many young lads. I was just talking to him, just last Sunday, and well, it's just, personally, it's a shock. I'm still numb for it. Goodness knows what his close family are thinking, and his mum. Must be terrible for them.
The injured, who include 2 12-year-old boys, are being cared for at hospital at Bridgend. The ride was open despite 100-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from the sea. Forensic teams will now dismantle parts of the track for laboratory investigation.
I wouldn't like to comment on the type of accident, whether it was freak or otherwise at this stage. As far as the integrity of the ride itself, as you can see that it's a large, robust structure which has stood here for 50-odd years.
The inspectors will also review the voluntary code of practice that governs funfairs. The families affected by this water shoot tragedy are now being cared for by a police counselling team. They too will want a speedy conclusion to the inquiry to find out what went wrong. Alison Mackenzie, ITN, Porthcawl.
At least 13 people have been killed in violence in the South African province of Natal, just 2 days after a state of emergency was declared there. The worst single incident was near Estcourt, where 3 people were killed and 11 injured when gunmen opened fire on a church congregation. Police believe the murders were carried out by Zulus opposed to Nelson Mandela's African National Congress. Here, the biggest teaching union, the NUT, has attacked the government's plans for nursery education at the opening of its annual conference in Scarborough. It also condemned the other teaching unions for failing to back its boycott of the national school tests in England and Wales.
The National Union of Teachers is committed to universal nursery education. The government believes it would be too expensive, but is reported to be considering a system of vouchers which parents could use as part or full payment for a nursery place. The union's president said that was no solution.
Another betrayal of our children is underway.
Schemes appropriate to petrol stations have no place in the education of our youngest children. Vouchers cannot guarantee quality provision in every part of the country, cannot guarantee a place for every 3- and 4-year-old, and cannot guarantee equal access to all. We appeal to the government to think again, but nobody has any confidence in John Major.
Later, the conference held a call for a national strike in protest at cutbacks and redundancies among teachers.
A national campaign, the time for this whole union to unite and defend our education service, for the NUT to demand an education service based on need, not one led by Tory economic policy. And we can do it.
But the debate ran out of time. The vote has been postponed, probably until Tuesday. Harry Smith, ITN, Scarborough.
One of the 5 people killed in a road crash in northeast Scotland yesterday was the son of a police superintendent who was called to the scene. The others were family friends. The crash happened when a Peugeot estate and a lorry collided head-on on the A96 in the Grampian region. All 5 people in the car died, including 14-year-old Matthew Patterson. His father Ian was one of the first police officers to arrive. Ian and Catriona Dawson and their 2 sons were also killed. The family from Swanmore in Hampshire were on an Easter break. The leader of the British Army expedition that was lost in the Malaysian jungle arrived home today. Lieutenant Colonel Robert Neal flew into Heathrow with his wife Fiona, saying he never doubted they'd get out alive.
Hello everybody, it's fantastic to be home, as you can imagine. I'm very grateful for all the support everybody at home has given me, and in particular my family. It's fantastic to be back, and as you can imagine, it's nice to be alive.
Did you ever doubt that you'd get back here alive?
Not at all. It was just a matter of time. We had plenty of flesh and bones still on us to survive. We had lots of water, and we knew that the system would provide all the support it needed to.
Now, time for today's sport. With the details, here's David Bobin.
Well, in the FA Carling Premiership, the match of the season kicks off in around 10 minutes' time. It's Blackburn against Manchester United at Ewood Park. If United win, they'll be 9 points clear at the top, but Rovers could narrow the gap to 3 points if they win. Meanwhile, 4th-placed Arsenal made a good start against bottom club Swindon. Alan Smith putting the Gunners ahead after 4 minutes, but Paul Bodin equalised from the penalty spot, 1-1 the final score. And Teddy Sheringham marked his return to fitness by putting Spurs in front with a second-half goal against Norwich at Carrow Road. Ian Rush put Liverpool a goal up against Sheffield United at Anfield. Jostein Flo equalised in the second half. Sheffield Wednesday's Chris Bard-Williams put the Yorkshire side 2 up against Everton at Hillsborough. Ryan Jones scored the first. Meanwhile, Peter Beagrie put his new club Manchester City in front against Aston Villa at Main Road. Paul Walsh scored City's second and Uwe Rosler made it 3. Darren Beckford helped Oldham continue their fine recent run. His second-half goal helping Oldham to a 3-1 lead over QPR. It's now 4-1. And Wimbledon's Dean Holdsworth scored the Dons second at Coventry as the Londoners went 2 up. The Division 1 leaders Crystal Palace had an attack of the jitters against lowly Oxford today, but Paul Stewart put Chris Armstrong through to score just after the break. And although Oxford equalised, Palace later regained the lead through Stewart. Well, in Scotland, an early Willie Falconer goal put Celtic ahead at Dundee United, and Stuart McCall was on